This episode is sponsored by OpenText, the information company. We power and protect information. Our purpose is to elevate every person and every organization to gain the information advantage. OpenText works to power the ubiquitous information around us to elevate everyone. We strive to help customers simplify their systems with frictionless automation and equip them to thrive and grow in a digital world. The LoadRunner family is one of many solutions where OpenText can help. Did you know that LoadRunner has the largest community of load testing professionals in the world? Check out the QR code or go to their website at opentext.com to find out more about the LoadRunner family. Servers and clients and network, oh my. Servers and clients and networks, oh my. It's the SMC Journal Podcast, and I am Scott Moore, your host. And this is the show that's all about software engineering in today's modern IT and making software better, where we talk about testing and tuning and better security, observability, and many other things. I'm glad that you're with me today. You know, we talk about performance testing on this show quite a bit because that's my background. However, it's part of QA, right? It's part of testing in general. And test automation is still a big deal. In QA departments across the globe, we've been on this journey from manual to automated test generation for decades now. Some are more cutting edge than others in organizations, and some are catching up. What's the great leveler for this, and how do we actually keep up with the pace? Because we have the need for more automation than ever. And I understand not everything can be automated, but a lot of things can be and should be. So where is test automation today with regards to AI, this 2023 being the year of AI? Well, I found out about a new tool, at least it's new to me, and it's called TestGrid. I want to share with you their website right now, testgrid.io. You can check out their solution. But one of the things that struck me was this is an AI-powered test automation tool, and what they claim is that they can take the amount of time that it takes to automate a test, say a mobile test or a web test or API, something like that, and they can just take the time away from the amount of time it takes to script this from hours or even a day or two to minutes, and they're going to prove it on today's show. Today I've got the founder and CEO of TestGrid, Harry Rao, and he's going to discuss with me how they do this. I mean, how is this magic happening? And we'll do that. Let's go ahead and bring on Harry to the show. Hello, Harry. Welcome to the SMC Journal Podcast. It's great to have you on the show today.
You as well, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Harry, the day's topic is really about AI innovation within quality assurance test automation specifically. And I think most people would agree that this is sort of the year of AI. That's all we're hearing about currently. And it seems like you are kind of on the forefront of that. So I'd like for you to introduce yourself to our audience, who you are, and how you've gotten involved in AI test-driven automation.
Absolutely. This is an 8-year-long journey, Scott. I'm the CEO and founder at TestGrid today, and I've started this with a vision of like bringing everything into one place. Right? There is performance, there is UI automation, there is API testing, all this, and there is infrastructure at the core of it. Right? When I started, it was like to bring everything together, it takes you months, if not years, to get your entire DevOps. And then on top of it, you're spending millions of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I get my ROI, it's way too late. And I am not getting the metrics. At the core, I was an architect when I started thinking about this. I wanted to build apps like in a factory model, right? Keep minting apps, simple. But quality is at the core of it. If you have hundreds of developers, how would you get it done? So that was not available on the software side. So with that being in the model, when we started doing it, we were like, okay, first my background goes like, I have masters in AI, artificial neural networks, and all this, right? So at core, I always wanted it to be AI, but to get to the AI, you needed a foundation. You cannot start automating or get to that point 10 when you're at zero. So it took us a while to build a foundation from where, like, We built this entire infrastructure at the core, which can go on-prem, hosted, mobile, or web. People, even manual testers, can use it. Then on top, we layered the scriptless, which is the more solid, cake or layer on top, right? So this took us at least 3 to 4 years to try, fail, just get it to like the depth that you need in the scriptless world. So we were the original scriptless guys in this industry. And then is when, okay, now that everything is stable the way we wanted, end to end is ready, we have quite a few enterprise customers, everyone is perfect. Then we started a couple of years ago, we started training our AI models, learning from the failures what is right. And last month is when we ended up launching our AI. And well, we have had a great reception since then. A lot of POCs in pipeline, and no stopping from there.
So when we talk about there's so many people talking about AI and what it can actually do for us. I think the when we talk about the holy grail of testing, people want to be able to just say, "Hey, computer, here's an app. Figure it out. Test it all for me. Do it. Fix everything." And we know that's not reality, but maybe we're on the cusp of that right now. Would you agree? Is that where we're headed?
We will definitely get there, Scott. 100%. It was not possible, I would say, even 5 years ago, where we are today, right? And your dream is absolutely right. But again, typically our clients are enterprise clients, right? And enterprises hate losing control. So AI is nice, but in controlled environment is what is the right way to do it, right? It can go to, for in the current world, AI is no different than a monkey, sadly. Like if you throw like a website and ask it to do, okay, go figure out what it can do, it ends up being a monkey, sadly. It can't figure out, like, it's an e-commerce website. Okay, I know I can go to a shopping cart, but does it know if it's an e-commerce website for like a patient portal or something like that? Or the PHI data is there? Are we selling something regulated stuff? How this is trained, this has to be done. We will get there, but that's what we try to do, and I'll get into in a bit, Scott. But you have to get to the manual tester level or the user story level from where you started it, so that the AI understands it the right way, like your developer understood and he developed, and your AI is trained in that model so that it can test it. So that's where we started at the inception point. So your dev and your AI tester are at the same level in terms of training, and from there they can start going their paths.
Completely agree with you about where AI is at. It doesn't have the context. It doesn't have the business context. It doesn't have the understanding that somebody does, human would in that sense.
Yeah.
The other thing that you mentioned was about like low code solutions, which I know are getting more and more popular. But you also mentioned control with AI, but also control. There is an engineering mindset and there's a developer mindset that a low code solution doesn't mean there's not any code. It just means I can't get to the code and I can't control that code. It's hidden from me. So how do you deal with that mindset with a low code
100%.
solution?
So again, like I said, 6 years ago is when we started the scriptless part of it. Actually, maybe since the day one. Let's put it 8 years. And while we were doing this, we learned, my first phrase was, enterprises don't want to lose control, right? So what we try to do is, whatever is the scriptless or low code we generate or we use under the hood, we made sure they can download the code, which could be Selenium Java, Appium Java, so that no strings attached. Tomorrow you want to part ways, you want to do it your way, you can do it. And that's how we architected this. We had to go through a couple of re-architectures internally, making sure everything works, Scott. But that's the way we give away. Will we give away our auto heal or our AI, our proprietary tech? No. But you will get your plain vanilla open source Selenium Java or Appium Java code that your devs can go ahead and say, okay, we can start using it locally. So absolutely. So to answer your question, we don't let them lose control. They have full control in a different world. All we are here is to accelerate and unify their product development to
Right.
testing.
Great, interesting approach, great approach, and I love that. I love hearing that. So the driver for all of this, and it seems to me, and I'm asking you how you feel about this. We've now got microservices everywhere. Everything's laid out, componentized, serverless dependencies, upstream, downstream. Everything has gotten more complex, not less complex, which to me says, okay, we need more testing, but now we need to do more with less. And we keep hearing that. So it seems to me that number one, if you were doing a bunch of manual testing, automation is going to be your only hope to try to get the kind of breadth and scope that you need for coverage. But then there's still so much of that that's going to need to be done with this newer architecture. It seems to me that AI is our only hope to help get there faster so that we know what we should automate, how much we can automate, and do it as much for us as we can. Is that, do you agree with that? Is that the driver for this, or is this just, am I missing
Absolutely.
it?
Absolutely, Scott. You're 100%. That's a bullseye, right? Because there are two things that's going to happen. AI is going to make even product development faster. And, some of the newbie developers might end up using AI to generate the code. Who's going to test all that?
Right.
Think about it. So product development will be faster, but you need AI to test it. And again, there is so much legacy code. Let's not even go about new product development, Scott. There is so much legacy that has already been built on the web, mobile, take banking customers. They have so many apps, so many web products, right? And healthcare, anything, right? There's so much software that's already on the shelf. But they cannot part ways from old ways because they cannot adopt something like scriptless because they have already invested in it
Mm-hmm.
today, right? They have their own Appium frameworks, Selenium frameworks, Cypress, whatever it is. So what we tried to do is go in with you need least path, or least resistance path to go in, right? So we call it internally shift and lift. You
Mm-hmm.
shift them and you lift them, right? In that, what we did is with our AI, let's say you have typically, if it's a banking application, you have close to 800 regression test cases front end, right? And you probably developed all of it. Today, with our AI, maybe 30 seconds to a minute is what it takes a test case to be
Really?
generated. I'm going to give you a demo when we get to it. All you have to do is copy paste your manual scenario that's probably in your Jira into our system. It will generate the scriptless for you. And it's like a manual tester reviewing it. Does it have the right data parameters? Does it have everything correctly? Boom, executed. We provide the infrastructure, may it be web browsers, mobile. You don't have to go integrate third party tools. I don't want to take those names, but you don't need all those integrations. Everything is done on one platform, right? So back to your question, that I call it future proofing, Scott, right? Not just product development or rapid product development. It's called future proofing, and that's what should be the right way to do it.
Awesome. Well, if you've got a demo, I definitely want to see it now. You've got my interest. So let's go to that demo now.
All right.
Harry, thanks for sharing that demo with us. So this has made me think about some things in terms of how easily it creates that automation. How long does it normally take somebody to create from a manual script an automated script?
So the industry standards, Scott, like, typically, there's simple, complex, medium kind of scenarios, right? 8 to 24 hours is one test case creation. Just the creation is what I'm talking about, right? You're writing Selenium Java code, you extract the elements, all that process.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, right? And you use your functions, you check in everything. Then you have test case maintenance during its life cycle, its existence in your system, right? You go change the elements, your dev changed the element or repositioned it, all that. That could be another 8 to 24 hours, right?
Mm.
Somewhere between 16 to 48 hours together for one single test case. As you saw in the demo, you don't worry about neither the test case authoring nor the test case maintenance. It
Right.
was all brought down to literally mere 30 seconds to a minute. I'm not boasting about it. You can bring anything literally from a user story, but that's the efficiency. That is the future. That's where we have to be in this.
Yeah, I
So, yeah.
completely agree. Now, let me ask you about this because my background is in performance testing and performance engineering, load testing. For Test Grid, is there a performance aspect of this?
Absolutely. So I call performance two ways, Scott. Again, like I said, my background was architecture, right? Architect, software architect. So have to look at from not just the product development QE, but performance is at the core. So single user metrics is one important thing for me, right? And then the load tests. So in my world, Scott, the way I wanted to envision, let's say you're developing a mobile app. A mobile app is a single user,
Mm-hmm.
anytime, just a phone. But the mobile has limited resources. So let me focus on that, right? I need to know if there are memory leaks on the phone, if the CPU is being spiked up when I'm using it, how many API calls did I make when I just tapped on login? Did my team just throw every freaking API call during the
Right.
login? Or did they tailor it to lazy load it? You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
have to be very cautious about it. So that's how we built it. So, like you just saw the demo, when you run these test cases on our mobile devices in our data center or in your premise, you will get CPU metrics. You will get we call it transaction analysis, Scott, on the
Mm-hmm.
single user metrics, right? You get your CPU usage, your battery drainage per transaction, and the number of API calls you made per transaction. So we also sniff the API calls that were made during that transaction. So let's say you call 30 APIs, few of them are your microservices that went in, you got the JSON. We also have all that data for you to track back. So imagine the old school pingdom model, Scott, like, which transaction was there a socket that was established. All this data is available in our
Mm-hmm.
report. That's part one. The part number two is the load testing. So let's say I'm using, but now I want to load it with 1,000 users for login. So we have our own built-in JMeter based system where you can upload a JMX script into our portal, and it will simulate those 1,000 users for you. And here's the beauty. Now go ahead and run your front end for that 1,000 users with the load as 1,000 users in the back. Now let's compare with when there was no load with the 1,000 users. You can do a delta of both of them, and now you can see how your mobile app or browser time for first packet on your web-based application, all that. So sorry, we bring it all together, but I will let you.
No, that's great. And the reason I was asking about that because I noticed on the demo of how fast that it figured out dynamic information that's on that page. So one of the bane of the existence of a load testing scripter, whatever tool that is what we call correlation. So it goes out there and records the script, then you play it back. It won't play back because things have changed. Everything's so dynamic today. And so it being able to figure that out for you really shortens the time of the script creation. That's the biggest amount of time that we spend creating these scripts to create this real world situation. Sounds like if you already have the JMeter piece or the load testing piece ready to go to generate the back end traffic, creating that does it scale for one and getting all that front end dynamic JavaScript, all that stuff calculated as well, you kind of get that quickly and you get the best of both worlds. And that's really impressive.
Thank you. And I would like to add one thing, Scott. One of our power users is a gas and electric company based out of California. I'll leave it there. And they, we never thought someone would use it. And exact use case that you told me is what they were using it for. Record your transactions or your performance load and then rerun it so that you are not worried. They run it today on iPads because these users, they have offline mechanism to fix the electrical grids, and they go offline into tunnels and stuff, right? So that's exactly what it is made for. But
Well,
yeah.
we need testers even before it gets to a performance engineer to maybe load test these 1,000 users or to look at the bigger picture of the overall app. As you're creating these test cases, if there's a performance measurement that you have in this transaction analysis where it can be run for one, if the performance requirement doesn't scale for one, it's not going to scale for many. So why do you go and do a load test when you could stop right there at the single user and say, we still haven't met our requirement, let's fix this problem now. You've instantly shifted everything left, you're back to the developer, fix the performance problem now before we get to this level. So if you can do that quickly and easily, just adding these stopwatch transaction timings to the script as you're creating it, perfect win for shifting left.
That was the biggest pain point, Scott, for me when we were architecting or we were trying to create a factory for apps, is that integration is where it fails. The API guys are happy, front end guys are happy, but now who do I blame?
Right.
I don't have that picture. My manual tester cannot. My automation engineer, by the time he gives me the arrow or these metrics, it's way too late. So like you said, no blame game, shift left. If it doesn't perform for a single user, it should not, if there's a build gate definition that you created in your team, it should not go to the performance team because it's way too early for that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
100%.
Well, I'm excited about this tool. I'm excited about where you're taking automation and applying AI to it. One last question. Where do you think we go from here? Can you even predict a year from now or 2 years now where you take something like this?
This is day zero for us, Scott. There's a lot in the funnel. Again, we have a lot of data it's very private. Everything is, we want to get into the predictive analytics space because that's a natural progression from automation. Make sure everyone's life becomes easier. A performance engineer does what he is important or what he is there for, right? Think out of the box scenarios, make sure everything is perfect, not to do the mundane job. So that is what we try to get out, Scott. And we are there 80%, the rest 20% we will cover. But as I keep saying it inside the team, this is day zero. Let's make sure we innovate this testing space because it's been a while.
Yeah, I agree. So if people want to find out more about your product Test Grid, where do they go? What do they do?
So testgrid.io, we do have free signups or ask for a demo over there. Follow us on LinkedIn, our Twitter handles. We have latest and greatest product releases. It's testgrid.io, and feel free to get in touch.
We will make sure that we share those links on our show notes, and they can tell you that Scott Moore sent you. Thank you so much for being on the show today. This was very innovative, and happy to find out, like, whenever you have another new release and you got some new features you want to talk about, you're welcome to come back on the show anytime.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott. Pleasure.
So I'd say that's pretty impressive, and I'm sure that has piqued some interest out there. What do you think about this? Is this the next generation of end-to-end testing using AI, and what happens if it gets even easier than this? Are we going to be looking for a job? I don't know. What do you think? I'd like to hear your feedback. You can reach me on a lot of different platforms on the social media realm. LinkedIn is primarily the one that I use, but I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and other places. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to my bio page, and it'll explain how to get in touch with me through various means. But even simpler, just write me an email to heyscott@smcjournal.com. Love to know what you think about this episode, the subject, and have you used anything like this? And is there anything even comparable to this? What's been your results from that? I'd like to know. Do you like this video? If you do, it'd be great if you gave me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. That really helps me and guides me. Let me know if I'm actually producing content that's worthy of your time of wanting to watch it. Until next time, this is Scott Moore saying thank you again for watching the SMC Journal podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.